Hello, my dear friends. Hello, my dear listeners. How are you all? I hope you are doing best to serve your duties with utmost honesty and love. So, let's proceed with our journey in the life of our master Shri Ramkrishna Paramhansa Dev. Soon after the incident in the year 1870, Sri Ramakrishna set out by boat with Mathur and Hriday to Nadia, the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya. On the way, they touched at Kalna to see Bhagwan Das Babaji. Arriving there in the morning, Mathur busied himself in arranging for lodgings, while Sri Ramakrishna went with Hriday to visit the Babaji. It was frequently observed that the master, like a child, felt shy and diffident at first in the presence of distinguished strangers. Such was now the case. He sent Hriday ahead and followed him at a short distance, covering himself with a sheet. The Babaji had already had a premonition that a great saint must have arrived and had expressed himself to that effect. Seeing that no one but Hriday had come, he resumed his conversation about a Vaishnava who had been guilty of some misdeed and ordered his expulsion from the sect. As Hriday at this point said to him with a bow, "My uncle, who becomes overpowered with emotion at the mere mention of the name of God, has come to pay his respects to you." Sri Ramakrishna entered the room and humbly took a seat to one side. After saluting him, his face was almost veiled from view. The Babaji returned Sri Ramakrishna's salute and exchanged a few words with him about where he lived, etc. etc. Seeing Bhagwan Das telling his beads, Hriday said, "Sir, why do you tell your beads? You are a man of realization and need do so no longer." The Babaji answered, "I may not require it myself, but I keep up the practice as an example to others. Otherwise, they might go astray in trying to imitate me." Sri Ramakrishna could contain himself no longer. Depending entirely like a child upon the Divine Master, his spirit of resignation was so complete and so natural that not only did he do nothing on his own initiative, but the sight of others doing or saying things from an egoistic standpoint was extremely painful to him. Even in ordinary conversation, he seldom spoke of himself in the first person except as a servant of God. So these egoistic words of Bhagwan Das irritated him greatly. He stood up and said, "What? You dare to think like that? You pose as a teacher. You will expel a man from the society. You continue or give up a religious practice at will? Who are you to teach men? You dare not teach the world unless He, who is its Lord and ruler, allows you to do so." The sheet had fallen from his body. Even the wearing cloth had dropped, and a halo appeared about his face. As he finished speaking, overwhelmed with emotion, he fell into samadhi. All gazed spellbound at his majestic figure, and none dared to utter a word. The Babaji, who was accustomed to being addressed with respect, was surprised at this sudden outburst, but the irresistible authority with which the words were spoken went straight to his heart. His eyes were open to his mistake. He realized that he was nothing but a humble servant of the Lord, a mere instrument in his hands. Far from being resentful, he studied the Master closely and was charmed with the unmistakable marks of spiritual greatness in him. In the conversation that followed, Sri Ramakrishna went in frequent trances, and the Babaji's judgment was confirmed. And when he found that this was the man who had occupied the sacred seat of Sri Chaitanya at Kolutola, he regretted his criticism and asked pardon. Sri Ramakrishna recounted the whole incident to Mathur, praising the realizations of the Babaji at the same time. Mathur also went to visit the Babaji and gave money to the ashrama for a feast. So, my dear friends, today we are stopping here. We will continue our journey in the next episode. Till then, be happy, be jolly, and keep praying. Shubhamastu.